Hi, it's Grandpa Butler. Thank you for joining us for our watercolor experiments, which we've been started in September 2021. These are our watercolor crayons here. The colors I plan to use. Hiked up in the mountains yesterday and to this spot here, and I thought, oh, that might be a fun watercolor with the fir trees in the back and these aspens in front. But instead of trying to do all those aspens, all those firs, what I'm going to do here is I put two aspen on this side, three on that side. I'm going to put a fir tree in the background here and some shadows and see how that goes for fun. So let's start with some of the blues in the background, sort of some of the trees here. And what I want to avoid here is getting overlapping my white trunks with these fir trees. So here's one here, already partialed in here, and we'll go up here a little bit. And a lot of the bottom, it will be a darker shade because it's deeply in the shadow here. This tree here going up, coming down, and bottom here. Now this couple trees there are kind of in the foreground. Here's the road going up here, and what I didn't have here is, let me put a few tracks in here that correspond to those there as we move along. So we did our permanent ink drawing here, and now we are looking for our fir trees here. And before I do too much else, I'm going to get these fir trees in the foreground in here. I'll make their trunks kind of blue, but since they're the foreground trees, now there's going to be some background trees here, so I'll put a blue here kind of as a holding pattern, and certainly the darker blue along here at the bottom. Now next to the trees, these aspen trees, I want to be careful, and so I'm going to use my darker green for the foreground branches here, which I have marked off. So this is all foreground foliage here, and it's a wonderful time. I hiked up there on this mountain road for just a little over a mile. Didn't see anyone while I was sitting up there for a while looking at nature. And since these are trees here, we're going to have the sort of shadow directly overhead coming from the right and kind of overhead. So let me put some of those colors in here and there. But I am purposely working around the aspens here. And so, I'm going to do these close-up trees here, the background trees with some blues and this color here, and the close-up also with some green too. Now you can see that what I've done is I've gone through here and put these different shades of blue and sort of dark blue green in the background. Now before I do anything else, I'm going to try and go around my aspen trees to preserve that whiteness in the picture without having to come back and put any white gouache paint over it. So you can see I'm going there. So let's start from right to left. See what this kind of second stage here, after we have the green. So I'm trying to very carefully go around here so that white sort of sticks out at us here. One of the things that my daughter-in-law suggests might be interesting to other people is, given my neuropathy, but the fact that I can still have fun doing this kind of art, that might be something other people might want to try out and see if it works for them. But mostly we did this for grandkids. If they're very interested in watercolor, crayon art, they can, these videos, they can see all the different experiments that Grandpa made as he went through here. So we're just going to do that across the board here. You can see that we're coming across and just dabbing our paintbrushes. Come across and down. Here we don't want some of these colors to remain distinct, and you can see also that I've come by and before I did any of that, I painted around my aspen trees. Got those colors stroked by the trees without trying to get too much overlapping with the trees themselves, so they stood out a little better. And what Grandma's tried to help Grandpa a lot with this, but he has this tendency to want to do too much detail in his pictures, and he gets frustrated, on the other hand, if he spends too much time. You can see Grandpa's hand is shaking a little bit. Let's see if we can calm it down. Rest it saying, "Be calmed, my troubled hand, my troubled nerves," and dab through this painting. Yea, verily, yea. See if that works. I don't think that's, maybe that's an Old Testament spell there. I have to look that up. Or maybe it's from a Disney cartoon. Okay, so we got that part there settled. So what we want to do is come by and get some shade in. And you saw the photos. I eliminated a lot of the aspens that were in there. Were almost too many to keep track of. There's shadows here for these trees that are on the edge here, and I'll put that in there. And I'll put this coming up here, like this is a kind of shadow for that tree there. So these shadows are going to be coming more directly at us and forward down into here. So I also want to move it forward, but also kind of downhill as the slope is coming that way. Okay, we have the shadows from these nearby trees, and we'll put those shadows in there and in here, and in fact to indicate that we're kind of on a hill here and there's lots of stuff going on, we'll have the shadow, the darker shadow from those trees coming over here. We'll have some shadow in these kind of tracks here that we've drawn in the foreground on both sides, like two sets of tracks. In the picture, if you go back to it, there's lots of tracks and areas where cross-country skiers have been through, and thank goodness they help tamp down the snows a bit, and so that's always a blessing when those of us who aren't on cross-country skis come around. And then over here, it's in the immediately foreground, there's some shadows of trees. There is there's an area here that is a kind of a different shadow, and maybe we'll even have some exposed to sunlight coming across like this white over here. And I think if we leave the sky kind of white, we'll be okay. So we'll get our things up, and again we'll work from left to right. Let me, in spots coming up to the tree here where I notice coming over there. And these shadows here. And shadows from this tree, and shadows from this tree, kind of shadows from just the way the snow is curving here. Shadows in these tracks here, from these tracks here. Some of it's well defined where people step in with their cleats or snowshoes or even gym shoes here. Let's get these shadows back here in this snowy part of the trail here. Remember from the picture there was that, and then there was a slightly different shade. Some of it was white where the pure sun came down, and some of it was kind of diffused shade there. Okay, come up on this side. Some of the darker shadows again. And darker shadows, trees coming out here. And if we put more shadow around the trunk of those aspens, that will make it pop out a little bit more, which is not. That's maybe a little stronger than I want, so I'm going to keep dipping that in the water. Bring that down. Okay. And we'll dabble on that. Okay, what do you think? Yeah, I think that was pretty fun. So this was another fun moment I spent with you. Thank you. Hope that you're being kind to one another and good people. This world obviously needs that kindness now more than ever. Love you all. Bye.